My life is nothing but an empty void of broken dreams, empty promises, pure despair, and unending agony. If I'm being completely honest, there was absolutely no real reason for that intro. I just clicked the record button and it felt right on the inside. I'm actually kind of surprised I was able to feel anything at all. I truly feel like Courage the Cowardly Dog is to blame for some of the emotional trauma that I experienced as a young boy. That show was absolutely terrifying, mortifying, and horrifying for absolutely no reason. Why am I seeing things about a Courage the Cowardly Dog ARG that supposedly I play it and be reborn? I feel like being reborn would also insinuate death. Do I have to die in order to finish this game? I don't know what the hell this is. This sounds psychotic, and it's probably gonna be a terrible experience for me. Game theory, play and be reborn, which means I gotta die. Matthew!
Hello, Internet. Welcome.
Why is Freddy looking at me like that? He looks like he wants to do things
to Game
with me.
Theory, where it's another day, another FNAF episode. That's right.
In
Even
a
though we
room.
might have just squeezed security breach dry of theories, it doesn't mean that the FNAF train is slowing down anytime soon. Case in point, Felix
We
the
running
Shark,
trains,
the
baby.
surprise bonus
Let's go.
book in the Fazbear Fright series. Yep, your eyes don't deceive you. That is an animatronic shark on the cover.
So it is a real
Go figure,
picture.
I make a joke about it, and now somehow I've manifested it into being. The only thing that would make this more sharky would be if it suddenly introduced a shark animatronic. They haven't done that yet, right? Right? Okay, well.
Or it gets caught in a tornado 3 times?
Anyway, although
They really made Sharknado 3 times. Think about that. Think about that. Sharknado had enough lore. Shout out MatBat. Sharknado has enough lore to make 3 movies.
it's slated
Think about that for a
release in
second.
April, an audio version of the book leaked early, allowing us
They
to
did it 6 times? How? How? How do you make 6 movies from a Sharknado? I feel like once, okay, there's a Sharknado. They can't do, like, you know, variations like Sharknami or Sharkquake
see what's inside of this
or
thing.
Sharkanic Eruption.
And let me tell you, while all the other books in the series have hinted at lore, this one just spells it out.
Dude, Hollywood's gotta hit me up, bro.
What are you doing?
Talking about FNAF, like I always do. It's been almost 2 weeks. I feel like I'm going through withdrawals.
Well, I am the theory lord.
This is what you see in your bedroom at night. It's like 4 a.m. It's pitch black, right? You look in the corner of your room and you see a dark, menacing figure lurking in the shadows in the very corner. And it turns out it's just like your chair. And you just got like jackets stacked on top of it in a backpack. And so it just looks like a figure. And then you turn to the other corner and it's MatBat, floating head, haunting you.
Lord, and I command you to stop.
You know, with a name like Theory Lord, it seems kind of off-brand to tell me to stop making an episode.
Silence! Talk about something else. Seriously, there are so many things that you can cover.
Like what? Elden Ring would be cool, but if your name isn't Vati Vidya, you're gonna get flamed.
There's a new Kirby game.
You'd think, right? But Kirby fans, they're surprisingly aggressive.
What about
Kirby?
him over there in the corner? I would point him out to you, but I'm just
Where?
a floating head, so let me just
I'm lost.
nod his general direction. That guy, over there, that one.
Courage the Cowardly Dog? Did he even have a game? Shouldn't that be over on Film Theater?
Talk about him now or face the consequences. Theory Lord has spoken.
Hello, Internet!
Dude, I can't argue with that, bro. Like, this is, think about it. Look at that. Look at that. If this thing tells you to cover it, you cover it. Okay? You
Hello,
cover it.
Internet! Welcome to Game Theory! Today we're talking about the absolute classic animated series, Courage the Cowardly Dog. This thing was pure nightmare fuel bottled up and IV directly into kids' eyeballs.
For no reason. Just traumatizing children unprovoked.
Back in the
Dude
late
woke up in the morning and thought, I'm gonna ruin some childhoods today.
90s.
Now, I want you to open your mouth and say, ah.
If you aren't familiar with it, the show is about an elderly couple
ah.
Yo, Muriel, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hear me out. We're thinking the same thing, right? We're thinking the same thing, right?
If you aren't
Hear me
familiar
out.
with it, the show is about an elderly couple, Sweet Muriel and Grumpy Eustace, who live near the fictional town of Nowhere, Kansas with their easily frightened dog.
Kansas? I knew it was Kansas. I knew it was Kansas, bro. That's why that place is so miserable. Because it's Kansas.
Courage. Every episode, the three
It
would
all
end
makes sense. You got all these theories talking about why. Oh no, it's just courage, and that's the strangers that he sees, so he thinks they're monsters. Or oh no, everybody's dead, and that's just his dreams. No, you want an explanation for the otherworldly phenomenon, the demons, the goblins that show up running amok? There's your answer. It's just Kansas.
end up encountering all
It's
sorts
just
of horrors,
Kansas.
ranging from spirits, aliens, monsters, even terrifying relatives.
Alone was I with tender courage, and all his fur is very furry.
That's his uncle, dude.
Which
That's
I say did encourage me to be quite naughty. Courage.
Honestly, if you've never had a chance to
no
check
reason for that.
this one out, I highly recommend it. There's a reason it holds the record for the highest rated premiere on Cartoon Network. And even though it ended years ago, it's still kicking around. It got a Scooby-Doo crossover movie last year, which at first I'm like, what? Why? But when you think about it, it actually makes sense. I will say it's been neutered a lot, not nearly as terrifying as the original Courage series, but
neutered?
it's passable for a character that I haven't seen in a
Neutered. We're going there.
while. Anyway, why am I talking about it here on Game Theory? Well, last year, a game designer named Nathan Gabriel went online to claim that he had found an old hard drive at a yard sale containing the only known copy of a Courage game for the PS1, a game that went unfinished and unreleased. Ladies and gentlemen, we got
A
ourselves a
yard
classic creepypasta
sale!
story. Boy goes to yard sale, boy finds haunted
Dude, people be finding the craziest things at yard sales, bro. Like, there's people find a collection of JFK's rotting teeth. You know what I mean? And you take that shit to you buy it for like 45 cents, right? You bundle it together with a broken Tonka truck, a broken Tonka truck, and a scratched up dinner platter, right? You bundle it together for $1. You take it to the pawn shop, it's just magically worth like $45 for no reason.
game, scares ensue. Rather than release 24 Let's Plays here on YouTube, Nathan and his partner Chico Games
You find,
decided
like,
to pull together the
long-lost
assets they
jewels
found and
of
put it all on
pirates?
itch.io for everyone to experience. But before even hopping into the game, I did some research. Even though Courage seemed like the perfect cartoon to turn into a video game back when every successful show had its tie-in, Courage only ever got a few browser games. No official standalone title was ever planned. So with my theorist senses tingling, I decided to give it a go on GT Live.
I don't buy that.
This is one of those lost things, right? You know, the lost things are lost.
If it's on itch.io,
The media?
I don't know. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I have a feeling that this is something.
Dude, look at Matt, bro. Look at Matthew. Charming and handsome. Bold.
more than what it seems.
And boy, was I right on the money. Constant crashes, haunting imagery, and a soundtrack that screamed, "Put me through a spectrogram." So you know what time it is, theorists. Time to break out Photoshop and
Yeah.
our Base64 decoders. We've got
It's
ourselves a scary
morphin'
ARG
time,
to
baby.
solve. This game isn't telling us the truth. There's a hidden story inside the code, and we're about to find it. The only thing I wonder is whether we can survive to tell the tale.
So I am gonna die.
Firing up
So
the
I
game,
am
you
gonna
take
die.
control of Courage, wandering
Nice.
around the bag house, and that's basically
This reminded me of
Not
the
a lot to
SpongeBob
interact with
game.
other than a few question marks that basically do nothing. However, after exploring the second floor, when you go back downstairs, the living room is bathed in red.
Uh-oh. Things are getting creepy up in Courage's house.
Going back upstairs, you get your first jump scare.
Oh, hey.
This terrifying face, which
Ah,
it's worth noting
terrifying.
isn't actually just a jump scare. It's from the show. This is the spirit of the Harvest Moon from the episode The House of Discontent.
One of the most traumatic experience. Look at this. And this would come on at 8 o'clock at night, dude. The sun is down, the moon is out, stars shining, crickets chirping. This is what you see.
jump scare. It's from the show. This is the
I want you to
spirit of the
imagine.
Harvest Moon from the episode The House of Discontent.
Because you don't respect your land, you must leave it.
I ain't going nowhere.
Then you will suffer the consequences.
Told you this show was pure.
Whose mouth is this? Whose mouth is this? I'd like to have a word.
Nightmare fuel.
I
The
just
game
wanna
is
chat.
only mildly more upsetting than what they decided to give to kids on TV. The
Nothing
giant
crazy,
floating
dude.
head
I
tells us
just
to
want a
find them,
conversation.
while 3 paws circle the screen. Now I know it's a courage game, but this moment's really giving me some solid Blue's Clues flashbacks. So finally armed with a mission, we go explore the house again, only to suddenly be teleported onto a carpet made of rotting flesh. You know, the usual for the games that we cover here. If it doesn't
Oh,
have
yeah,
it,
this is rotting flesh. I love how you deduced that. Did Courage tell you, oh yeah, I'm standing on a floor of rotting flesh? Or Matthew, are you just like, oh yeah, this floor is rotting flesh? I
decaying
feel like there's an
carpet
issue either way.
this texture, ain't nobody got time for that. At the center of the area are 16 red chairs with an odd-looking pentagram symbol in the middle. If you look close enough, you can see
Oh my god, they're doing seances in the basement!
that the line is actually meant to map out a path. Following it and clicking on each chair as you go triggers a sound that, you know, would be great if you knew what it did. After mashing my body against every wall that I could find, because what else do you do when you're stuck in an indie horror game, I found a spot that I could phase through. I realized after
Oh.
the fact that there were also birds chirping.
It's a
to hint that it
crossover
was
with
there.
Danny Phantom.
But of course, I had to do it the hard way. And on the other side of that wall was nothing but another question mark that didn't do anything. At a loss, I did the only thing that I could think of.
Okay, got another question mark.
Oh!
If I jump off. And we've crashed.
He
the
was
game.
so young!
Fantastic.
Turns
Your
out it wasn't a
family.
bad decision. When you relaunch the game, all the furniture in the living room is gone, and we get treated to a
Damn, dude. Rest in peace, Courage. Just look at this image. Look at him. Look at the terror in his eyes as he begs for Jesus to lift him up, guide him towards the light, and save him from his doom. Look at him.
If I jump off. And we've crashed the game. Fantastic.
Turns out it wasn't a bad decision. When you relaunch the game, all the furniture in the living room is gone, and we get treated to a music track that absolutely slaps.
Oh, this doesn't bode well.
Yeah.
Oh, this is definitely Morse code.
Obviously, the
That's that
music
new
bed is a
Kanye.
code, Morse code, to be precise, which at the time of filming I couldn't look into, but afterwards I was able to translate to learn the way of the old wind. Old wind isn't
Learn the way of the old wind. Now we're getting a Batman crossover, dude. The Riddler.
reference to the show as far as I can tell, but it does seem to be important, considering that it's a phrase that gets repeated throughout this ARG. Look back at the itch.io page for the game. Perfect grammar in all the game's descriptions except for 2 randomly capitalized words in the middle of the sentences. Old and wide.
Upon.
Mom, it's wind. Well, I've only read it in books.
However, to understand what it means, we have to keep digging. By heading upstairs and then back down, you'll find that the bag's grandfather clock has moved to the center of the room. If you let it chime 12 times, the game crashes. Again. And this time you have to restart from the beginning.
Things are just happening. This game, all he's done is run around. He is progressing through the game without doing anything. Like he's running around and things just happen.
Which is definitely what happened to me the first
This
time.
is an
But if before the
experience.
12th chime you head to the kitchen, you get a data missing screen. Now, this is important, because when you first boot up the game, we're told that there are, quote, at least 3 levels connected to completely broken sections. We couldn't find how to access them, but we were able to put data missing screens on them. So we just found the first of these screens, but so what? It's blank. It doesn't tell us anything. Or does it? At this
Yeah,
point,
it
you know
does.
that when an
Do you know
ARG
what this represents? My soul. The inside of my heart. Empty. Black. Hopeless.
He presents us with a black screen. It's Photoshop
Kinda smelly.
time. By messing around with the brightness and contrast levels, we find a hidden message within the black void that says, quote, "Father wasn't home," which admittedly doesn't tell us a whole lot. but there
Mine
are still at
neither.
least 2 more clues to find, so
He said he'd
hopefully
come
this will
back.
paint a clearer picture for us. After getting that screen, we delete the save file and go back to the start. So we do it all again. Click the question marks, talk to the creepy moon face guy, go outside, follow the pentagram path, slam my body against all the walls, find the hidden ledge, and click on the question mark out there. But this time, we
Commit.
don't leap to an untimely and premature end. This time, we go back into the main section of the game, and we're rewarded for that big brain move with this.
Wait, was this here last time?
Nice! You get a reward for not committing! That's nice! That's nice, dude! You get a reward for not jumping off a cliff into an empty void to your imminent doom.
Rewarded for that big brain move with this.
Wait, was this here last time? Oh no! Wait, oh no! Muriel! Muriel's dead!
It's a funeral memorial for Muriel. Naturally, you
It's about damn time, dude. Old bag was...
click on it and it crashes. Eat your heart out, Cyberpunk. But don't worry, in this game, it's a feature and not a bug. This time when you restart the game, you're dropped into a pitch black room. So, as you might imagine, I took my time and thought carefully about my next move.
Okay. Oh, hello.
You know, life is all about failing up.
nice.
Trying again and looking closer, I was able to identify based on the textures that there was an invisible path.
You'll notice that the texture here is different. Watch, I bet if I walk on this.
What is it?
Yep. There's an invisible path to get to that chair.
But with it being invisible, there was really no way to move
Dude, I got glasses, I
forward.
can't see.
Or was there? You see, if you actually pay close attention to the music in this section, you'll hear some deep, creepy tones with a high-pitched ping. It was enough to set off my theory senses yet again.
The
What?
grandfather.
Dude, Matthew is a genius. He's just like me, right? Light-skinned Sherlock Holmes, investigating. Picking up the clues, dude. No blue.
Scene, as well as that sound, are very reminiscent of like the sounds that you would hear if you put something visually into a spectrograph, or if we were to do it, the
Oh, yeah,
audio
definitely,
file
yeah.
in some way would give us
Uh-huh.
something back.
And I was
I
right,
agree.
tossing this audio into a
Spectrograph.
spectrogram
I know what
gives
that
you
means.
something that looks a lot like a map. Gotta
Yeah,
give it to
okay,
Puzzlemaker.
I can
It's
read
an
that.
awesome clue if it actually worked.
Uh-huh.
I tried really hard to do this level legitimately, but I just couldn't. Without any sort of
Okay.
landmark to tell how far
Do
you've
the
gone,
brightness.
it's really difficult to estimate exactly where you need to turn and stop. Luckily, there's actually a far easier solution to this, and that's messing with your computer's rendering settings. Twitch streamer The Beard Dude had the idea to use a program
The
called
Beard Dude on Twitch. Twitch.tv/yourhighnessgaming. Come join the greatest Twitch stream in the history of the internet.
computer's rendering settings. Twitch streamer The Beard Dude had the idea to use a program called Reshade, which made the path visible and possible to navigate. It's also worth pointing out that while I was installing Reshade, I noticed a text document among the game's files that read, "She followed the rules, he broke the rules, the OW was all the way to the right," with the words being censored there. Thanks to the Morse code from earlier, though, I think we have a pretty good idea of what that's trying to say. The OW is obviously the old wind, but
It's a message. It is a sign, dude. As soon as you start downloading mods, right? As soon as you start downloading mods, now all of a sudden it wants to give a cryptic warning.
what is it saying about being all the way to the right? Well, going back to our invisible maze, we actually get a choice in our path, going left or right. So, to learn the ways of the old wind, I started by heading right. At the end of the path, you're teleported to a dark corridor with a house. Behind the house, you find a second memorial picture. This time featuring a
Houston!
man
Who
named
is this? Robert. Who the hell is Robert?
Robert W. Half burnt and without any of the decorations that we saw around Muriel's. Clicking on it will,
Robert.
surprise, surprise, crash the
Oh my god! Muriel was a two-timing hoe! Oh my god! That's why Muriel's dead. And Robert. Because Eustace found out she was cheating. Muriel was cheating with Robert. And Eustace found out, killed her, burned the bodies. That's what happened.
game. This time when we reload, we're back in the Bag's house, only now it's dark and eerily quiet. However, things take a turn when you go upstairs. Suddenly the game locks you into place and we're
What the
forced to
fuck is
confront
that?
Robert W. His realistic face stapled onto a wisp-like body that slowly floats towards us with a digital wail. Thanks! I hate it. But what I don't hate is that it gives us our second—
You know what the craziest thing is? I fully expect this is just something straight out of the TV show itself, bro. I fully expect this to have happened.
stinks. I hate it. But what I don't hate is that it gives us our second data missing screen. Adjusting the brightness and contrast of the screen reveals the phrase, Mr. Wheeler was there to greet me. So our storyteller's father wasn't home. Instead, he was met by a Mr. Wheeler. Considering that this floating entity is Robert W., it's not much of a leap to assume that the W stands for Wheeler. But to absolutely confirm, I went to match the fonts. Times New Roman wasn't too hard. And sure enough, it turns out that Wheeler is a perfect fit for the rest of that burned image. It's also worth noting that the asset name for the horrifying creature is Real Wheeler. Seems pretty confirmed. Robert is Mr. Wheeler.
That's the real one.
Horrifying creature is
So
Real
that's the
Wheeler.
real
Seems
one.
pretty confirmed. Robert
It says it right there, and that's the fake one.
is Mr. Wheeler, but what are we trying to say about him? Well, there's still at least one more data missing page to find, and hopefully that'll start giving us some answers. Last time we went right, so this time at the Spotlight Maze, we're
It's like
actually gonna go
Instagram
to the
handle.
left, away from the old wind. After a long walk, we make our way to a single chair. Clicking on the chair does what you'd expect at this point, crashes the game, and we end up back in the bag house. This time, though,
I would have guessed
it's full of
absolutely nothing.
coins. Notice that the pattern on the coins actually matches the earlier chair puzzle. As you collect the coins, a player 2 slides onto the screen, which would be weird enough considering it's a single player game, but things get real uncomfortable when
What?
you realize it's Muriel. You know, that dead woman whose memorial we paid respect
She's
to
watching.
earlier?
She's been here the whole time. She's in the room with you as you play, right? It's like The Ring, right? You watch the movie and she's right. You're cursed. She kills you, right? That's what Muriel did. You play this game, dude. She's watching. She's in there. She's sniffing your hair as we speak, bro.
Biggie. Collecting all the coins causes Muriel's face to go dark. The music stops, and we get our final data missing screen. Contrast down, exposure up. It reads, it was her, Eleanor. Father wasn't home. Mr. Wheeler was there to greet me. It was her, Eleanor. Okay, so we found all our data missing screens, but what's it all mean? Well, based on the evidence we've collected so far, I think I've got a decent idea of what the story's about.
I
The
just
story
told you
has
the story. Eustace.
5 people. Eleanor, Mr. Wheeler, Father, Muriel, and us, the storyteller, who is clearly the son of Father. We know that we call out the fact that Father wasn't home.
Son is the son of Father? I never would have guessed that. I never would have guessed that. I never guessed that Father would be our father. That is a plot twist I was not expecting.
Teller, who is clearly the son of Father. We know that we call out the fact that Father wasn't home, which to me suggests that Father probably should have been home. His absence was unexpected, leaving us to ask the question of why. Why wasn't he there? Mr. Wheeler was there to greet me implies that Mr. Wheeler wasn't part of or close enough to the family to be on a first-name basis with our storyteller, like maybe a neighbor or co-worker or some other trusted adult. The phrase, it was her, Eleanor, implies that Eleanor was closer to the family than Mr. Wheeler, hence why she's referred to on a first-name basis. She's also not the mother of our storyteller, as most children would call their mother just Mom, just like Father was called Father. All of this would suggest that Eleanor
Hey, what's up, Charlene? What's for dinner tonight? What's for dinner for Hey, Barbara, can you help me with my math homework, please?
Or just Mom, just like Father was called Father. All of this would suggest that Eleanor was maybe a neighbor, or a stepmother, or a sister. But that's not all we're working with here. Each time we rebooted the game to start down a different path, we were forced to delete the save file. This, to me, felt like it could hide a clue, like we were intentionally being led to those specific files. Why else would you force players to do that without giving us some sort of a payoff? And sure enough, when opening up the save files in Notepad, we find plain text phrases like, I don't, or was good. I tried to collect as many of these as possible,
Your wall.
but to confirm
Hey,
that
what's good, my guy? What's good, gangy? Oh, y'all, what's good?
I hadn't missed anything, we extracted the plain text that the game looks for within the files to get this. Do you remember a time when the world was good and fair? I don't. Manually changing the phrases...
Me neither, bro. A world good and fair?
Yes. Do you remember a time when
That's
the world
Mars.
was good in the files to get this? Do you remember a time when the world was good and fair? I don't. Manually changing the phrases inside the save files would allow us to load different parts of the game. So I went back and did it with each of the phrase chunks. Only the phrase do you loaded a part of the game that we hadn't previously found. A gray version of the bag's home with nothing to do except endlessly interact with your computer. I feel seen, creepy ARG game. I feel seen. Anyway, the game's assets have a few more clues hiding in plain sight. There's a file called Old Wind, which it turns out out is the symbol that we saw under the chairs and on the coins. So the old wind is the symbol. Interesting. There's also a file
This,
named Eleanor.
dude, that isn't a secret that's the lizard people.
Coins. So the old wind is the symbol.
The cephalopod lodge.
It's worth calling out because Eleanor is the image that we see at the memorial, but one that was attributed to Muriel. Makes it seem like maybe the two are actually one and the same, bringing our character count down to 4. Father, Mr. Wheeler, us, and Eleanor/Muriel. So taking all of our evidence into account,
what about Eustace?
we might be able to explain why Father wasn't home. It was her,
the creepy
Eleanor.
uncle guy.
Considering we see her memorial in the game, it implies that Dad had to leave to see her in her final moments before she dies. Do you remember a time when the world was good and fair? I don't. Certainly sounds like the sort of question someone would ask in the wake of a tragic, unexpected death. But it still feels...
This is insane. This isn't... We've got to this point. Remember, this started out with Matthew just running around. He wasn't doing anything. Things were just happening. Things were just happening. And now all of a sudden we've got deep, dark lore. Muriel was brutally Eustace! Think about it. Mr. Wheeler is father. He left. Eustace pulls up. Pop, pop. Mr. Wheeler forgot his carton of cigarettes, so he came back inside. Boo! Got shocked by Eustace. Pop, pop. Dead. That's what happened.
Like the sort of question someone would ask in the wake of a tragic, unexpected death.
Light-skinned Sherlock Holmes.
Something's missing, right? Like, why are traces of all of this left in the game, and what does any of this have to do with the seemingly important phrase, old wind, that keeps getting repeated? Well, remember that text file from earlier? She followed the rules, he broke the rules, the old wind was all the way to the right. Wind in the Courage the Cowardly Dog show tends to be linked with the passage of time or death in some way. The episode Little Muriel, for instance, involves a tornado that sucks up Muriel and turns her back into a child, and Courage has to find a tornado that spins the other way to age her back up.
I'm Muriel. I'm only 3.5 years old.
Dude,
Who are you?
I'm putting this little shit across the fucking... Oh my god. Woo! All that open space, bro. Oh my god, I'm kicking a 75-yarder, bro. Macaroni.
Another episode titled
Make
Windmill
your
Vandals has a
macaroni.
windmill that stops things rising from the dead. The old wind, I suspect, operates similar to these. It's a wind that makes you grow either younger or older. Eleanor followed the rules. Well, by dying, she followed the rules of nature. But upon seeing this, Robert Wheeler begins to realize his own mortality and looks for ways to become immortal, breaking the rules of nature and refusing to die by being involved in some sort of ritual or cult. I mean, look at that symbol and tell me there isn't something cultish about that. The lack
Oh no,
of
he was doing a
memorial when you find
ritual.
Robert's burned picture
He was
seems to suggest
ritualing.
that he isn't dead. This is actually backed up by the game's itch.io page. On the day the page was created, there was also a user profile created, R. Wheeler 1998. And for now, that's as much as I can piece together about the Courage game. A PS1 era game.
Look at dude. V-Cree. He's figured it out.
And for now, that's as much as I can
He
piece
figured it
together
out,
about
dude.
the Courage game. A PS1 era game riffing on mascot-themed platformers back in the day that hides a family tragedy under the surface. Maybe having to do with a death or cult rituals attempting to be immortal. And you see, this is why Courage was such a clever choice for the game. The occult, demons, Courage has faced them all. Much like the windmills in the show, which stop the dead from rising, the old wind will ultimately be our key to stopping the immortal monster that tries to
So
cheat
essentially
death.
what I'm gathering here from this is that this game was created by just some guy. He's just in his room, bored. Nothing to do, bro. He's that's it, dude. He's just on his computer, and he's on acid, and he's just doing things. He's just pressing buttons, and things happen, and that's how this was produced.
And there does seem like there will be more added to this story, as Nathan, the guy who quote-unquote found the game, tweeted that he's been able to locate another mysterious hard drive with more Courage content on it. In the meantime, is this a perfect solution? No, obviously not.
Okay, Nathan. Okay, Nathan.
There are plenty of holes here in the story, but as a wise show once said,
There's no such thing as perfect. Huh? You're beautiful as you are, Courage. With all your imperfections, you can do anything.
Thank you. Creepy
but
alligator.
hey, you can do anything, and that includes a
That is a look.
Avoiding male pattern
There's a
baldness
look.
with our sponsor for today's episode, Keeps. Did you know that male pattern baldness affects 2
That
out
was
of 3
amazing.
guys before the age of 35?
That was amazing. Get Keeps, use code Pathu, so you don't get patches in the back of your head, bald-headed, looking like Whoville, dude. Dude, what the hell is wrong with people, bro? There are way too many psychopaths and madmen running amok, wreaking havoc upon the masses, dude. What the hell was this? I think it's Nathan. I think Nathan is behind all of this tomfoolery, and he needs to atone for his crimes.